Hello. Happy New Year. Aloha. Welcome to the very first Wednesday live chat of 2024. It is good to be here. This time is, as always, yours. I don't care what we do. I don't care how long it goes. We'll talk a lot about ownership. We'll talk a little bit about one and done, considering the fact that I know there are some leagues out there getting started at the Sentry Tournament of Champions. I'll show you the leagues that I have. They're going to start next week. We're going to do some underdog drafts for the first time ever. There's a lot to get to. It's going to be a lot of fun. We are hitting the ground running right out of the gate here. Drop your questions, comments, concerns in the chat. I will do my best to go through as many as possible. Greg kicks us off with a very nice sentiment. He says, Happy New Year to the Gehmans and all the run gooders. Thank you, Greg. You as well. And he also asks for the producer's play of the week. And if you don't know who that is Armina, my producer, my business partner, my wife. And for the first time ever, she is actually in the room. She's right over that's her right there, right over my right shoulder. There's now a chair over there. And I don't know how this will work out, but Mina, who's the pick for this week? Colin Morikawa. She has let us all know. So there you go. There is the selection. And speaking of which, Justin is going to get us started here. He said, you talked a lot about Colin being a phenomenal wedge player on Monday's video, but in the newsletter, he was much further down the proximity list than his wedge bucket rankings. Please elaborate. Let's giddy up. This is my website, rickrungood.com. Everything you see, for the most part, comes from my website. Here we go. Colin Morikawa on the golfer profile page. To get everybody caught up, you look at his season-long standings, and you'll notice the proximity buckets are bonkers. Second from 100 to 125, seventh from 125 to 150, sixth each from 150 to 175 and 175 to 200. If you open up a shorter gap from closer in 50, or a larger gap from closer 50 to 125 yards, he is second. The stat that I sent out in my newsletter, which you can get to at rickrungood.com/newsletter, free, and a lot of cool information. This is shot by shot data. So the rankings are season-long rankings. This is actually going through and looking at every single shot and seeing where it landed, and then looking to see which. I just read a comment from Slack. Sorry, I got distracted. To see which golfers are hitting it to 15 feet or closer more frequently. So Colin is here. He's like, 15th on this list. It's still very, very good considering there's 60 golfers in this field. It's in the top 25%. And he's just 6 percentage points behind the guys at the top. The reason that I think that these don't necessarily match up is Colin routinely hits it closer than his peers, which is why he ranks better in the buckets, but he doesn't necessarily stuff them as close. So you might only need to beat, your peers by, let's say you hit it to 20 feet and that's better than what your peers did. You'll rank higher in the buckets, but it will not count as a birdie opportunity. I bet you if I took this and I said, give me 15 to 20 feet or 10 to 20 feet or something like that, you'd probably see Colin jump up here quite a bit, but just kind of the nature of the data and how it is being filtered. Good question, though. Hey, Rick, thanks in advance for 2024. Eric Cole pops up everywhere in my models. I feel like one and dones will be loaded with high-end picks. Is there a world in which he top fives or wins? There's certainly a world in which he top fives, right? Eric Cole has been a top five machine. Four of his last 5 starts have been top 5 finishes. And I do believe that, you're going to hear me talk a lot about this over the course of the next however long this takes, of these guys that normally lose strokes off the tee because they're not very accurate or they're not very long. It's not as critical here. And if you can do everything else well, you put yourself in a really good position to find success. And I think Eric Cole, I think Brendan Todd fall into that category. JT Poston is another one. I do think that if you are playing Eric Cole in a $20 million purse, 59 players, you are probably doing it incorrectly. Feels like a little bit of a reach out of the gate for one and done. Remember, this is one of the biggest purses we're going to get all year. A 59 player field with no cut, you should probably just be burning one of your elites. What is the point of waiting? So I think playing Eric Cole in your one and done in the first event of the year is a reach. I think he'll be fine, but I would not be playing him in one and done. Hey, Rick, can you do a deep dive on Benny On? Yeah. So Ben On, remember, he was suspended. Benny got busted in the fall, did not play. So the last time we saw him was at the BMW Championship where his season ended. This is a stat profile that looks a little bit concerning to me, right? So we have a situation where Ben On gains significantly, and the vast majority of the strokes that he gains off the tee. Then he is hit or miss, often struggles on approach. His short game is pretty good, and his putter is all over the yard. That, to me, does not scream Kapalua. We talked about it a lot earlier this week. There's going to be guys playing from basically the same spot off the tee. If you are longer and straighter than everybody else, it is not that big of an advantage on the first shot at Kapalua. Here is the shot by shots that I pulled together, and you can just see the collection areas. There are very few places on the PGA Tour schedule where everyone is playing their second shots from basically the same spot. And this is like every single par 4 and par 5 on the golf course. So to me, if your only skill set or your best skill set is that driver, that's a little bit concerning. Plus, who knows what he's been up to for the last couple of months. I'm sure he's been playing, just not competitively. Hatton has been popping up for me everywhere, says Sid, and his irons have been great in his last 2 starts. Do you think this is a good spot to get in on him? I do, and I want to look at his projected ownership, which is on rickrungood.com. Mike Cavalunas does this. He does a great job. He has Tyrrell Hatton coming in at about 12.5%, which is significantly lower. Half of that of Colin Morikawa, who is $100 cheaper. So if you're looking for a pivot off of Colin, I think this is a pretty good spot to put in Tyrrell Hatton. And to the original question, you look at what he's capable of doing on approach. Shameless plug for rickrungood.com. I have the strokes gain data from the European Tour, and I cover 6 different tours, so I get the full picture on someone like Tyrrell Hatton, who has played 3 of his last 4 starts on the European Tour, and that includes a Ryder Cup. So 3 of his last 3 in a row individual stroke play events have come on the European Tour. If you're only looking at PGA Tour data, you're not seeing the runner-up finish at Wentworth where he gained 10 strokes on approach. You're not seeing the T11 at the DP World Tour Championship where he gained 6.5 strokes on approach. So I believe that this is a pretty good spot to roll out Tyrrell, especially if you're trying to get a little bit different at the bottom of that 9K range. Happy New Year. Let's go. Yeah. Anyone comes to mind who's playing this week, although also played throughout the fall on an uptrend? Ooh, okay. So someone who's playing this week who played throughout the fall on an uptrend. Well, we can look at the trends tool, right? So we can go to rickrungood.com and we can say last 36 rounds, or if you want to do shorter than that and try to just target the fall a little bit, you could do that. And guys that are trending upwards, well, Eric Cole, $7,400, is playing a quarter of a stroke per round over his own baseline. That's the way this works. It takes the last 36 rounds and compares it to every golfer's 100-round baseline. It says who's playing better or worse. Eric Van Rooyen is almost a half a stroke better per round in his last 36 compared to his 100-round baseline. So he gets a pretty significant boost there. Akshay gets a boost at 6,200. Sepp Straka gets a boost at 78. Lee Hodges, though it's not great, is still playing over his baseline, and he is $6,500. So you can use this and kind of sort through and see the way the guys are trending. If you want to go to 24 rounds or 12 rounds, get after it. It's all good. Drinking game on a Wednesday. Take a shot every time Rick mentions the word phenomenal. Or producer Mina says it, because they count as a team. That's right. Yeah, if you did that for the Monday show, you'd be dead. And you wouldn't be watching this one. Thanks for all you do. Really looking forward to the new tools. Thank you very much. I hope we are so close on the golfer profiles. There is now just 4 things. I was just telling Mina this earlier. 4 things. When we get these 4 things done, it's going to go live. I hope that is before the Sony Open. That is the goal. Excited for all of that stuff. Who are your 2 favorite plays from the 6K range? All right, so let's go to the cheat sheet. Let's fire this down to the 6K range and talk through some of these guys. Brendan Todd, who had himself a very good fall, who is the blueprint of, the worst thing that he does, driving the ball, is not an issue here. And then he's very good on his iron, very good with his wedges, very good putter, has a new caddy on the bag, Paul Tesori, this week. That's interesting. I'm interested in Adam Svensson. I don't think this is a particularly great spot for him, but he's played well in the fall. Back to that question earlier, finished with a 5th at the RSM Classic. And then I'm not quite ready to write off Luke List just yet. I'm interested to see what this is, and this being the improvement with the putter. Now, remember, he was for almost the entirety of his career one of the worst putters on the PGA Tour, and not even close. And especially with that and the delta of his ball striking, it's one of the biggest gaps that we get of guys on the PGA Tour. And you're still seeing the elite driver, which, again, I know that's going to be minimized here, but he has a positive approach play. He's been positive around the greens. And then all of a sudden, going back to the Travelers Championship, he has gained with the putter more frequently than he has lost. We do not have the numbers from the Bermuda Championship, but it was a T20, so I'm assuming he probably putted pretty well there as well. So is this enough to say he found something? I kind of think so. I'm not willing to write it off yet. He finished T11 here last year, gaining 5 strokes ball striking, and he lost 2 strokes with the putter. If he gains 2 strokes, does the rest everywhere else, you're talking about serious contention here. So those are the 3 that I would look for in the 6K range. Brian says, Happy New Year, Rick. You as well, Brian. Love the show. Keep that hair looking coif AF. Thank you. Thank you so much. I will. Are you doing your newsletter this year? Nathan, my friend, of course. Every week it's free. rickrungood.com/newsletter. Get after it. Do I need to re-sign up or will it carry over? It'll carry over. It's not tied to anything. It's just like, until you unsubscribe, you get a free email newsletter with a bunch of data and nonsense in it for golf. Like, hear it all. I guess I'm not sharing my screen, but yeah, check it out. A lot of good stuff in there. Rick, Happy New Year, says Josh. Excited about the partnership with Underdog. Indeed. Will they be offering any season-long best ball contests this year? Okay, so yeah, just to get into this, we're going to do some Underdog drafts later. We're going to dive into Underdog. I've got some pick'em stuff that I think is interesting, and I'm very excited to get into the drafts for the first time. I've never really gotten into the golf drafts on Underdog, so I'm excited to do that for the first time. It's a new thing for me, and we're going to jump into it. We're going to do a live draft or 2. So this came together very quickly at the end of the year. They've been awesome to work with. I'm trying to get them to do a season-long best ball. Best ball's taking over like crazy for golf. I think at the very least, they're going to have the major championship best ball. And then what I'm hoping to also get them to do is to, there's a lot of tech and stuff involved, is to do a season-long best ball that starts at the Masters, right? Something like that, I think, is realistic for 2024. And then for 2025, hoping that we can get like a real full season long big boy like they do for football and stuff like that. So that's the hope. The idea of partnering with someone like this is to advance and innovate. They already have great tech. They're already doing it for other sports. Can we get that to come to golf? That right there is the hope. It's code Rick will get your deposit bonus. Link in the description. We will do some drafts later. If you go deposit now, you can probably snake me in some of these drafts and take the guy that I'm talking about. Hey, Rick, awesome updates coming. Appreciate that. I picked 2 players each week for one and done. I'm going with Colin for my A player. Do you like Cole Poston or Cam Davis as the B player? I don't. Are they actually like tiered like this? I would hate to. This is such an event where I think the cream rises to the top. Can you use 2 A players? Are you personally making the decision to go A and B, or are you required to go A and B? If you are making the decision, I think you should reconsider and fire off 2 A players. If you are required to go with an A and B, I probably rank them Cole, Davis, Poston. Davis makes a ton of birdies around here. We'll talk about him during the Underdog section. He's only played 4 rounds. He's played well. I think he's been like 67 or better in each of his 4 last year. I don't mind that, but I think it's Cole, Davis, Poston, but 2 A players if you can get it. Seeing a Windam Clark 55-1 outright. Thoughts on this golf course for him. All right, so let's look at Windam Clark, because I also saw some really interesting Windam Clark matchups. I saw some Windam Clark situations, and I'm looking at this stat profile, and I am admittedly a little bit worried. You know, the huge improvement that he made in 2023 was right here in this second column. It was becoming a very good, if not great, approach player and not losing anything else. The end of the 2023 year for him was kind of staggering to the finish line. He lost 9 strokes around the green at Albany, which is certainly possible, but he didn't drive it all that well, and he hasn't driven it well since the Open. He didn't hit it all that well, and he hasn't hit it that well since the Scottish Open. Because I'm willing to set guys back to their kind of 100 round baseline or 50 round baseline, or for the purposes of this, let's call it the 75 round baseline. I think Windam Clark is pretty interesting. When I go through this field for the last 75 rounds on the power rankings, Windam Clark is the 11th best player in this field. He's gaining 1.27 strokes per round. So the 11th best player in the field at a 55-1 number, pretty darn good, especially because he won a U.S. Open and another signature event last year, Wells Fargo Championship. So I like that more than I don't like it. I think there are red flags, but if we can look past those and get back towards the long-term stuff, I think Windam Clark is pretty interesting. Already spoke about Luke List. Gavin, I don't necessarily think it's a trap. Good luck to you and happy New Year. Is Kirk viable this week? Great with wedges. He can spike with the putter. Worried he won't go low enough. Yeah, listen, I've said this before. The Chris Kirk stuff, like, rarely excites me. And I don't know if that is right, wrong, or indifferent. This is a guy who finishes between 14th and 35th every event. He misses a lot of cuts. He is not very good in the short game categories. He's better, but can be very bad in the ball striking categories. Let's look at his history here. It's probably over a long time. Yeah. Hasn't played here since 2016. I'll write off all of that, good or bad. This just doesn't really excite me. When he plays well, you're going to get a 16th place finish. And when he plays poorly, you're going to have him finish in the bottom 10. So I will need to see something different or get him on a better golf course before I start getting involved in Chris Kirk. Okay, so this is something I do need to address. So Hank Byers says, has Jock Market retired from golf? And I hate to be the bearer of bad news here. I've gotten a couple of emails about this as well. From my understanding, Jock Market is out of business, which stinks because they built something really, really cool. And I know being a startup is it's difficult and more are going to fail than succeed. But I thought that they were doing something really cool. I'm not happy with the way that they have dealt with this because from what I understand, I had a couple employees email me. They laid people off like 2 months ago, and they've been basically running the website kind of shadow as is, not doing any innovation, not doing any customer service, not responding to anything, not tweeting, but still running like NFL contests. I don't know if that is going to change when the NFL season is over. I think it's kind of a weak way to do it. I've not been able to get them to respond to me. In fact, they owe me money. I'll just tell you though, there's a payment they haven't paid. And I guess if they're out of money, that makes sense. So from everything I understand, Jock Market is out of business, which stinks because I thought they were going to do something. They were doing something really, really cool. The tech was there, but I guess could not do it. Hey, Rick, any plans to still collaborate with Andy on occasion? Love the work of both of you, especially together. Appreciate that, Ryan. That is probably not in the cards. Scale from 1 to 10. How hot is Hoge? Well, he can get pretty hot, right? So here's Tom Hoge. This golf course and the amount of wedges that it asks you for is good for Tom Hoge. He played well enough after the Tour Championship, right? He went over to the BMW PGA Championship, finished T14 there, racked up a ton of strokes on approach, did the same thing in Jackson. This is kind of blueprint Tom Hoge stuff. And then what he did here last year was just fire at every single dart, over 10 strokes on approach. I'm not super excited about it. And this would be the one spot I'd be willing to take an early season flyer. But as we start getting into the bulk of the schedule, I'm going to need to see Tom Hoge play better week in and week out. But this is the one spot without any form to go off of. It's not a bad spot. Excited for the 2024 season. Do you believe Liv is sustainable, and do you think it will dissolve and many return to the PGA? Well, I mean, from a business standpoint, it is not sustainable, right? They've spent $2 billion in a couple of years. They've made, I think the TV deal has made them like $2 million, which is obviously not nearly enough. But from a financial sustainability point, like they can do this forever, right? You don't, if the goal is to be profitable in golf, that will never happen. If the goal is to have a league that people eventually care about, they can spend until the end of the world. What I assume is going to happen is there is going to be some type of agreement between the PGA Tour and Liv. Liv gets access to the built-in sponsors, the built-in infrastructure, the built-in revenue, the hundreds of millions of dollars in TV deals that goes into this new for-profit entity. The PGA Tour gets access to its all of the players at the best events. I do not know what that would look like. I do not know if the top players are going to be asked to play live events and signature events. I don't know what's going to happen if Rory McIlroy says, I don't want to play on a team and I don't want to play on live. Are those guys going to be required to? It seems like it's going to be a headache. I don't know how it's going to look, but I imagine a deal will get done here in the next couple of weeks. Hey, Rick, do you value high variance golfers in Birdie Fest tournaments, i.e. Spieth, Sahith? For context, looking to add a golfer in the 25 to 50 range, currently looking at Tom Kim, Finau, Windam Clark. Okay, I will tell you the guy that I settled on is Tom Kim. And if you look at this stat profile and go back to, remember when we were at all-time hype of Tom Kim, the US Open, 23rd at Brookline. Then he goes third at the Scottish Open, comes on the PGA Tour, rattles off 2 wins and the President's Cup immediately. That moment, after the win at Shriners, stock was at an all-time high for Tom Kim. Expectations were at an all-time high for Tom Kim. He then did not play like that for basically the first 6 months of 2023. But now, the last 6 months of 2023, he's playing like those expectations were laid on him. Look at his last 4. 6.5 strokes gained at Wentworth. 2.7 gained at the Open Day France. 7 in a title defense at Shriners. Victory. T15 at the DP World Tour Championship. He's played here once. It was last year. He finished T5. This is a short hitter, very good approach player, scorching hot putter, going to a birdie fest that will reward approach play and minimize distance. Yeah, Tom Kim's the guy that I settled on. I got him at 25 to 1. Thoughts on Scheffler for one and done this week? No Rory, small field, elevated event, good analytical play. I'll pull up his stat profile just so we can look at it while I talk. But I believe that if your one and done starts this week, I think you should be playing Scotty Scheffler, right? Okay. The only purse that is going to be larger is the players. That is going to be a massive field. It's going to be a lot more difficult to win. This one is 59, in which we do not have Rory McIlroy. It is 4 guaranteed rounds. The bottom 10 or 15 of these guys, not very good. They just got in via like one random win somewhere. And nobody really has recent form. Scotty's played pretty recently at the Hero, won that, also starting to putt better, gets a new putting coach in Phil Kenyon. I'm pretty sure Scotty Scheffler is going to win this golf tournament, right? So we'll get this out of the way. I bet 3 guys. I'm a hair overextended, but it was the first event of the year. I couldn't help myself. I bet Scotty. I think I got him at 5.5 to 1. I bet Colin at 14, and I bet Tom Kim at 25. Those are my 3 bets. Go bet. Don't. I'm not going to spend your money. Go bet whoever you want. I think Scotty Scheffler is super great play. And when you look at the purses for the rest of the year, this is the best spot. Like the 3.6 million this week for first is the same as the 3.6 million if you win the Travelers or whatever, right? Like this is going to be so much easier for someone like Scotty to win. I'm rolling him out in the ones that I go. First show, and you put her in timeout. She has to be here. I didn't trust me. I would rather be on the other side of the wall. There's a lot of pressure. She can see me here. Okay. Josh says, hi, Rick. Any updates on both your one and done and when the fields will be loaded for selections? Okay, let me try to. I've gotten a lot of questions about this, and I apologize for not being clear here. So there are 2 one and dones. that I am kind of overseeing / running. Neither of them start this week. They start the Sony Open. So you do not need to put a pick in for the Sentry. In fact, you cannot. There is not a way to put a pick in for the Sentry. So the first one, which is open to everybody in the world, this is the one that I built on rungoodgolf.com, a website, a domain that I own. I built this site. If you go to submit a pick right now, I put a message up that says, this league begins at the Sony Open. So like, stop emailing me and asking me when you can put in your pick, because the field for the Sony is not even set yet. It'll get set on Friday, and I will probably load the field in on Monday. Okay, so that is when you can make your selection for the Sony Open. You do not need to put in anything this week. It is the same for Splash. Splash is the Sony Open. While I'm here, just to kind of show you, if you have no idea what I'm talking about for either one of these, if you qualify, you can get into both of them. So Run Good Golf is my pet project. It is a small entry fee with small prizes where I'm trying to be cognizant of legalities all over, but I'm trying to make a cool universal ranking system. It is a single entry in which every user is placed in a division based on past history, because I've loaded in if you've ever played in one of my one and dones, I've loaded in all your picks. I've loaded in all your earnings already. You'll be placed in a division of 72 users. There is relegation and there is promotion. So if you're in the top 18 of your division, you get promoted. If you're in the bottom 18 of your division, you get relegated. And you'll be able to look at your own stat profile. You'll be able to earn badges for things like picking a winner at a major championship or crossing over $25 million of career earnings. You'll be able to go back and see everybody's picks, including your own, historically, see your stats, see your best players. So this is my attempt to make one and done available to everyone, available globally. I'm sure this is going to evolve over the course of the first couple of years, but this is where we're at. It's rungoodgolf.com. It's $39 to get in. There's prizes if you win your division. There's prizes if you win the whole thing. I've got some prizes to give away throughout, even if you are just participating. At last count, we are at 818 users here, which means there'll be at least 10 plus divisions, which is great. And I will go through and take care of all of that and set everybody into their actual division probably this weekend. And then after everybody is in finally. That's open to everyone. The one on Splash Sports. So Splash we used for NFL Survivor. We used it for the weekly contest last year. This is like the big money, fully regulated version of this, but it's only available in the United States in 41 states. So $150 entry, I think it's 5 entry max. If you qualify, and if we fill this thing, first place will be up to $30,000. It's 15% of the pool of the league are getting paid out in a flat payout structure, which is what I wanted. So this is available to you as well. You can get into both. If you're eligible for both, I encourage you to get into both of these, but both of them start next week. There are links in the description for both of those. We're going to have a blast. One and done is going absolutely bonkers this year and every year. So I'm excited for it. Welcome back, Rick and Armina and all the DFS gens. Hearing that this course correlates well with Augusta National, do you see that? And if so, how much? I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I could run like the correlation. Yeah, I think just generally the argument around this is that the undulation of the golf courses with the terrain, you never really get a flat lie. Jordan Spieth has talked about this a lot, right? You never get a flat lie at Augusta. You never get a flat lie at the Plantation Course. So I absolutely get it. Yo, Rick, can we as a collective give Ludvig the nickname Ludes? Get the Ludes. He actually goes by Ludi back home. There's a little fun fact for you. His friends call him Ludi. On custom model, what is the purpose of the projected points column? Is it useful for fantasy? Well, I hope so, because it is, projected fantasy points, which is right here. So you can run. So when you run lineups, right? When you run the custom model, the system needs something to optimize off of. So I give you the option to optimize off of projected points if you want, but really you should probably be going in here and adjusting all of the weights to your liking, like we did on Monday. Did I save that one? I think I did. What did I call it? I called it probably Sentry Monday. There it is. You can go through input all the weights that you want, and then it'll pump out a value. And the value is what the system will use to optimize your lineup. So it's just options, baby. I give you options. That's all. Sepp Straka top 20 this week. You know what? I don't hate that. You often see, this is a narrative, but I get it. You often see these guys that played in Ryder Cups or President's Cups get a little bit of a bump, right? He plays great at the Ryder Cup, gets a win, hangs around Rory and Rahm and all these guys, and then he goes out, finishes second at the Hero World Challenge. Sepp Straka used to be a very boom and bust golfer. He has really solidified his consistency, which I think is exciting. I'm not sure this is the greatest place for him because I wish he was a little bit better from some of these short iron proximities, but he doesn't drive it all that well. That'll be okay. We've seen him start piling up some good finishes. I don't mind this at all. I think Sepp Straka is on the verge of having probably the best year of his career coming up. Is it absurd to use Eric Cole in a one and done? I believe that it is. Oh boy. I forgot we also have season-long fantasy leagues. There's a lot. As much as I love I do pine for the weeks where I will not have to remind everybody to get into a one and done, to sign up for the fantasy leagues, to do all this stuff that needs to be done before the season starts. I feel like a broken record at this point, so I hope everybody's taking action here. But yes, there are also season-long fantasy leagues. They're on Fantrax. I've been tweeting out, and in my newsletter, there's links to the spreadsheet to see where the open spots are. Mina, maybe we can put the link in the description. I think we might have that. It says, in your Fantrax leagues, what is the number you're using for how many times an individual player can be used and why? In that situation, it's infinite, right? Because it's just like fantasy football. If you have Patrick Mahomes in fantasy football, you play him every week, right? So there is not a number of times in which he can be used. So the way that I've modeled it is after that. So I would say there is no amount of times that you would want to do that. How many outright tickets in the world do you think exist on Andrew Putnam? His mom and his caddy, 2. TJ's here. Hope the slow few months were good for you and Mina. Thank you much. Yeah, I mean, listen, this is actually listen, we had our fun. We traveled a little bit, but that it's the end. It's kind of a busy time for us. We're doing a lot of stuff. How much stock are we putting in the FirstTime Curse for the Sentry, with the exception of Tom Kim last year? First-timers tend to struggle. Are we worried about Hatton, Cole, Ludwig, Fleetwood? No. Those are like 4 of the best players in this field. I'm not particularly worried. I would also like to remind people, and this is not a shot at you, Steven, but when I see stuff like this, like first-timers struggle here, I always like that it has to be relative to something else, compared to the PGA Tour average, compared to whatever. No one ever follows it up with that line, which annoys me. It's not you, Steven. It is everybody. The link for the fantasy leagues, the spreadsheet of spots available, is in the description. If you don't see a league open, create one. It's very, very simple, and put it in the spreadsheet and let other people join. Speaking of guys who have gotten more consistent over the last couple of years, it makes sense because I swear Akshay's still like 17 years old. Akshay Bhatia is one of those guys. Look at the fall that he had. He missed the cut at the Fortinet, and then after that went pretty nuts. 43rd, 35th, 21st, 10th, runner-up, and then a T38. The putter, now that he's using, I don't know if he's actually, I think he is using the Jailbird or something close to the Jailbird, but it's like the counterbalance version that Odyssey has started to work really well for him. Even some putts that I've seen him miss and haven't gone in look good. I think he's outclassed here, but I'm excited for a big year for Akshay. Do you think Sam Burns? Yeah, I'm worried about Sam Burns a little bit. Inconsistent iron play is too much to overcome this week. He putts great on Bermuda, which is always nice. I love the ability to get on a run like he did at the match play. I do worry that we're pretty far off from the skill sets that you'd like to see from Sam Burns. Sam Burns at his best, approach play, putter, gain 2.5 a week in those 2 categories, and hope the rest of it can keep you in it. not really seeing that at the moment. So it's going to be a wait and see approach on Sam Burns for the time being. Okay, let's talk ownership here. So the 10K range is pretty even. 29% for Scotty, 31 for Victor, 25 for Xander, 25 for Patrick. You get a little bit of a discount on Homa at 17, and then anybody besides Colin Morikawa in the 9K range is going to end up being a pretty good pivot. So I would have no problems if you wanted to pivot to Fleetwood or Hatton instead of Colin. I get it. Colin's great, but he is not 3 times as likely to win this golf tournament as those other guys are. Ludwig catching a ton of steam, nearly 30% in the 8K range, going to Tom Kim, going to Jordan Spieth. I tried to make this case on the first cut the other day. Jordan Spieth might get off to a really, really hot start, and he might make a ton of money. This is a good spot for him. Pebble Beach is a signature event. That's a great spot for him. He's going to play the Masters, obviously, great spot for him. He is the RBC Heritage is a signature event. If someone is there a money list prop somewhere? I usually see it. I have not seen it this year. I got to know what Jordan Spieth's number is to win the money list. It should be a long shot. Should be like, I don't know, 25-1. I don't know if that's a real number or not, but I think this is a really good setup for him with the way that the purses are. Where was I? Here we go. Cam Davis, 16%. I mean, Salah at 15, that's a little bit aggressive, I think. I'm finding my pivots down here in the bottom of the 7K range. Brendan Todd, 5%. That's pretty exciting. Talked about Luke List, talked about, I updated this earlier. That was on me. Little bit, the third spot on the head-to-head tool of the 3 balls was linked wrong. I was a little rusty, a little off season. I fixed that like 3 hours ago. So you should see that by now. Have you personally changed your approach to betting due to being better at something versus another? I kind of smash top 20s or top 40s. Winning golf tournaments is really hard and it's a big ask. I think finding guys that are undervalued, but are still not like Bo Hostlers of the world, right? They're still not going to win the golf tournament, but like I do really, really well in those compared to outrights. So that's the one thing that came to mind. Zach says, is there any data to back up Scotty putting above his baseline on dormant Bermuda surfaces with POA overseat, or is that armcherry? I would have to pull. That would take me 10 minutes. I would have to go pull that. I'm not going to have everybody sit here and watch me do that. But if you emailed me, I might be able to get that. I don't know if it's going to happen before this tournament starts, but something I can look into. Thoughts on Camilo Villegas? Let's do it. I will admit that I was not expecting the win. I thought the runner-up at the worldwide in Mayakoba, or I guess it's not Mayakoba anymore, at the WWT Championship, I thought that was an absolute fluke, and he followed it up the next week with a win. I'm shook. I still, believe it or not, look at this form, which seems horrible. I look at his stats, which he doesn't even have like a ton. He doesn't even have like enough stats to qualify because he played on the Corn Ferry for the most of last year. Like I am not a believer in this for short, medium, or long term. If he wants to prove me wrong again, I'll tip my cap again. But this don't look great. All right. Where am I? Crap. I lost my spot. Hold on. Stand by. Oh, boy. Okay, here we go. I think I'm back. Travel tournament plans in 2024. Nothing solidified yet. It's not for the event, though. I don't know if you could hear that. Armina screamed Napa in the background. She screamed it in the background. But it's not during the tournament time.
It's a travel /
You can come in. You're in the room. You can come in and chat it up if you're like, no? Okay. I should just add her. Well, if I just clicked her in, would she be upset? Okay. So I would Tori, hopefully Phoenix. Honestly, that's probably it right now. I imagine Riviera, certainly. So those three I think are pretty strong locks. Outside chance of the American Express. I get a really good offer from somebody every year for that, and I just haven't been able to make it work. And then that's probably it for now. And then I'll kind of think about some of the majors and see. I'm hoping CBS starts reaching out and says, "Hey, Rick, do you want to go to the Masters or do you want to go to whatever?" So we'll kind of see. But those three are probably the first ones out of the gates. Steven says, "Happy to see golf back." Yeah, baby. In a smaller field like this with a bunch of top players, is this a week to build DFS lineups more balanced or stars and scrubs? I probably prefer stars and scrubs. You know, there are some really good options in the 6K, lower 7K range. I also think that there is a pretty big difference between Scotty Scheffler and, say, Windam Clark, even though they are the most expensive and the sixth most expensive golfer. I think there's a pretty big gap there. So I would not mind piling up. If you can get Scotty and Colin, you're going to have to be different other places. A Scotty and a Tom Kim, even a Scotty and a Max Homa or something of that nature could be interesting. So it would be stars and scrubs for me. When I hear driving distance doesn't matter, I think about Brian Harman. Sure. Why not? Why not think of Brian Harman? Can we take a deeper look? Of course we can. This is kind of weird for Brian Harman because one of the ways that he separates himself while not being very long is being very accurate, which is why he gave himself such a great chance at Royal Liverpool, or not gave, he won because he was never playing out of trouble off the tee. So on a golf course where the fairways are 100 yards wide and everybody's going to hit them, he does lose a little bit of his edge there. So then we have to look at his second shot and he was not very good in 2023 with the wedges. He was outside the top 100 from 50 to 125, from 125 to 150. The putter was very good as usual. I think Brian Harman is like a 5.5 out of 10 this week. I think when you look at the places that he's had the most success, and I'll just sort by strokes gained total here, look at where his wins are. And look at where his best performances are. These are kind of places where you want to be a little bit accurate off the tee, right? The Open Championship, the US Open, maybe not so much the American Express, but you start thinking about like the RSM Classic or places where playing out of the fairway or Harbor Town is a value. Farmers. That's kind of where Brian Harman succeeds. Yes, he is shorter, which he's going to get more roll than usual. He's going to play with everybody else, but he loses that edge of playing out of the fairway or playing from better positions than everybody else. So kind of weird. Hi. I ranked the 10K range. Scotty. Who's the third guy? Am I blank? Xander, Victor. First time one and done player here, thinking Morikawa, even though I have wire to wire. Yeah. Listen, Colin is likely to be, I think Colin, Xander, and Patrick Cantlay are probably the three most likely guys that get picked for this week, which reminds me, I just completely forgot. There's this other one and done that I'm usually in, and I don't know if I paid for this year, and I don't know if I'm required to put a pick in. You've been invited to participate, but you can't access until you. Oh, okay. All right. I'm gonna have to check that out. But I imagine Colin is going to be quite popular this week. Ray, who's always here, says, Rick, as much as I appreciated Andy's contributions, wish him luck. I'm glad Mike Cavalunas is still on the team. He's the goat of ownership projections. I agree. He is. I'm seeing Ludvig at 115 over Homa. Is it hammer time? Well, I'll show you another tool, and Ludwig is definitely, he's kind of an outlier at this point because the first 50 rounds that he's played on the PGA Tour have been basically historically good. So I do have him winning a head-to-head matchup with Max Homa 64% of the time if you use the last 36 rounds. If you use the last 50, it might actually get better for Ludwig. Let's see. Similar, 61 to 39. So I do have Ludwig here, but it is It's just a matter of if that sample size is the real deal or not. What's the sentiment on great-great-grandson of Braveheart's William Wallace, Matthew Wallace? I would say nice guy, probably not the week for him. Should the 2023 FedEx Cup Top 50 get a boost in season-long fantasy rankings since they qualify for the signature events? They should only get a boost if you're playing in leagues where cumulative earnings matter. So I was thinking about this a lot because, like in the Fantrax leagues, you're just playing like a week-to-week head-to-head matchup, right? So it doesn't matter if the prize purse is 10 million or 10,000. It's like whoever gets the most of it is going to get the win for the week. But if you are in anything that does cumulative earnings, those top 50 should be way overvalued because they're going to get access to purses that are literally twice the size of the non-signature events every single time. They're going to be smaller fields. They like Bo Hostler should go before Bo Hostler's in this. No, Bo Hostler's only in the first two. Who would be a good example? Eric Van Rooyen is going to be. Is he in the first? Or is he? I can never remember if these guys are 51 or 60 or not. They should go before the guys who are not in those events. Thoughts on Scotty over Rahm as PGA Tour Player of the Year and Cole over Ludwig? Yeah, those would have been my votes. Thoughts on the colored artistic crystal awards? Big fan of the crystal, if done correctly. Sometimes it looks weird, sometimes it doesn't. The whale is good. I like the way the light reflects through it. The other thing is, if I noticed correctly, they redid the Sentry logo for this year with kind of more of that whale tail type deal, and I thought that looked really good. If you're ever on Maui and you go to Kapalua, they display that trophy right there. You can see it. It's pretty cool. It's right outside the clubhouse. How many times does Ludwig win in 2024? God, all of them. I'll say twice. I mean, that's a ton, by the way. I don't know what his schedule is going to look like, but this stat profile is disgusting, and he is phenomenal. Oh, I said it. Drink. Have you talked about Fitzpatrick? I haven't. I think Fitzpatrick. So I'll throw Fitzpatrick in the 9K pivot. Like if you want to go, I think the top 3 pivots in the 9K range are probably Fleetwood, then Fitzpatrick, then Hatton, probably something like that. Fitzpatrick keeps posting about how much longer he's getting, how much faster he's getting. If you look at his profile, he's got the win at the Alfred Dunhill Links Championship. His fall and home stretch and into the European Tour was great. He didn't really stop playing. He played the Hero World Challenge and played well there, T4, and then he finished T7 last year. So yes, Fitzpatrick is pretty high on my list of guys that are probably not getting talked about enough, that are really good. Why did Xander and Cantlay miss the Hero World Challenge? Probably just didn't want to play it. I don't know. Still waiting for Cole to pay me out. Welcome to the club. Davis Riley, DraftKings worthy. I'm going to say I doubt it. Let's take a look. I doubt it. It's not good. I mean, the win, his win at the Zurich with Nick Hardy came during a stretch which he was playing pretty bad golf. And then immediately following that, he played more bad golf. He has played pretty bad for a year. Let's look at this. So everybody in this field, let's just go 2023 season. Nico Echeverria has been the worst. He won, did he win Barbasol? He won something. He won Puerto Rico and then has missed like 17 of his last 18 cuts. Then Davis Riley. Davis Riley gained 0.02 strokes to the field. He was a tour average player in 2023, and that is the second worst in this field because this field's obviously better than, a lot of guys that are better than tour average. So I am very concerned about Davis Riley. When someone models well but hasn't played the course well in past years, Do you tend to lean on data or course results? Bad answer is it depends. If it's a young guy who's played there a couple of times and he's making significant gains week in and week out, I don't care as much. If it's somebody who's played there 6 times and it should be a good fit for him and it's not, I care a little bit more. So it's a loaded question. What's the difference between a general admission ticket and a grounds ticket? Probably nothing. It might depend. It might be on a tournament by tournament basis, but probably nothing, right? I mean, to me, a grounds pass just gets you on the grounds, and a general admission ticket just gets you on there. I don't know. I have a ton of exposure on posting. Kind of worried. I'm not worried. Have you talked about Norman? No. I will say there's probably better spots for him because he's a very big hitter, and he's not going to be able to use it here. Do you think that the merger with Liv happens? Yes, I do. I don't know what it looks like after that, but I think you're going to get here's going to be the announcement. It's going to be April. They better not do it on April 1st. April 3rd. Here's going to be Jay Monahan is going to walk out and he's going to say, guys, I've done it again. I'm a genius. I got $2 billion from SSG. I got $2 billion from the PIF. The DP World Tour's in. We've got this new for-profit entity. I told you all would be it well. Now we got to figure out what the hell this looks like. That's what's going to happen. I don't know how pretty it's going to be after that. Okay, here's what we're going to do. I am going to pivot to bump-ba-da-bump, woof, woof, Underdog. Oh, sorry. I clicked it and mean to click it. That's my bad. That was on me. I have been dying to get into one of these drafts. And I will ask for your patience here because I've never really done these before. So I've been messing around on Underdog the last couple of weeks. They've got the pick'em stuff for golf out, which I've already got some entries in. I'll show you those in a second. But I'm dying to get to these drafts because this is new. So right now there are 3 drafts available. There is a round 1 $5, a round 1 $10, and the flop shot, which is a $25. Okay, so this looks like it is tournament long. So let's see what this looks like. I got to figure this out. We'll figure this out together, then we'll talk about the draft here. So 228 entries. They're going to pay out the top 20 spots. It is $1,000 for first, and it's fantasy scoring, right? As you would imagine. You're going to, okay, so this is what's interesting about this. So you're going to be in a draft with 6 people. Let me just enter this so that it fills while we're doing this. Okay, so we're waiting on 3 more people. So what's interesting about this is, if this was a DFS site, anybody could have Scotty Scheffler. But really, whoever the 1.1, like once Scotty's gone, nobody else in this draft can have him. But he's going to be drafted in every single. Oh, here we go. Okay, we're starting in. So filled. Did this fill? This, I hope you guys aren't watching. Okay, I have the 4th pick. We're starting in 55 seconds. So I'm in the 4 slot. So we get 1, 4, 2, 3. So we're probably going to end up 4 is probably the worst spot to be in. That's probably not true. Scotty's the clear number 1. Probably then Victor, then Colin. Then we're going to have our pick at 4. Maybe we roll with, I don't want to reach for Ludwig, so we're probably going to end up taking Xander there. So we're going to take probably Xander or Colin, whichever one is available to us, and we'll flip this back. But so then they're going to take our lineups that we drafted in groups of 6. I recognize Jay Steele. I'm going to get absolutely snaked here. Although I guess I'm going before him and then, okay. So then our lineups are going to be compete against everybody based on our drafts, which is really interesting. So I like the way that happens. Can I queue golfers? Okay, so I can queue golfers. Oh, I can probably update my rankings. So I can probably load in rankings, I think.
It's round 1 only, someone said.
I'm in round 1 only?
Someone said, I believe they're all round 1 only.
Oh, single round draft. I think you're right. Okay. So I'm wrong. This is round 1 only. We're Wow, Colin goes 2. Okay, yes, all single rounds. Thank you, Eli. You can load in rankings. Okay, that's good. Okay, there goes Victor. So Scheffler, Colin, Victor. We're just gonna take Xander here. He's been awesome. I don't think there's any reason to really get too crazy here. We'll take Xander. So I can load these in. I can adjust my queue, which is nice. I've got the Dachshund logo. That's for Ollie. And I've got the Rick Run Good colors here. So when it gets back to us, we're going to be at 9. So we might get Fitzpatrick here. We're going to take Fitzpatrick or Tom Kim, whoever's available. Ooh, they're both available. I mean, I've bet Tom Kim. So I should probably roll with Tom Kim here. Sorry, let me just, I'm learning this on the fly. We'll take Tom Kim. How do I pick him? Draft. Oh, I zoomed in too far. There we go. Okay. So then it gets back to us. We're going to be at like 16. So our ADP is kind of down here. Okay. So we might end up with Eric Cole, Brian Harman, Windam Clark, Ricky Fowler type. Jay Steele went Homa, Ludvig, Cantlay, Fleetwood. I have Xander, Tom Kim, Hovland, Fitzpatrick. Dude, this Scotty team. So he's going to get 2 picks here. Scotty, Sungjae, Finau. That's pretty good. Colin, Spieth, and whoever Andy 80 takes is going to be pretty high risk, high reward. Windam Clark. Wow. Andy will finish either first or last. Hatton goes at 15. So we're here at 16 with our choice of Henley, Fowler, Cole, Harman, I could reach for, that'd be a reach for Cam Young, I think. But at the same time, we are playing, I guess I can't talk through this that much. So let me make a pick and then I'll talk through this. I'll chalk monkey this and take Eric Cole. The thing is, though, it's not like you want to take the same 36 guys in every single. You do want to reach a little bit, right? If you're trying, because it is, yes, obviously there's only 6 players and 6 teams, but we're competing against all the other teams. So if I went and reached, let's say in round 6 for Adam Schenk, and he's the guy that finishes, T7 or whatever, that's a way to differentiate myself. So I do have to consider a little bit of contest ownership in all here. Poston. Okay, Cam Young's off the board. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Ricky, but him falling to 21 feels like he's falling into our laps a little bit. Or we could take Brian. We'll take Ricky. I hate this team. I hate my team. I'm nervous. I feel it feels like it's going very fast. I hate this team. Okay. I guess it's only round 1 though. So anything can happen. I hate this team. I should have taken Cam Young. God. All right. Well, it's only round 1. We got to get some. I would have liked this to have been four rounds. Sahith. Okay. So Harman. Okay. We're at 28. This is happening very fast. I would not mind Todd, Sepp Straka, or Luke List. Straka, Todd, Luke List. Probably not touching Jason Day. Probably don't care about Corey Connors. If I can get 2, I'm on the clock. Okay. So if I can get 2 of these 3, I'm pretty happy. Jay Steele is in the chat, probably sniping some of these guys from me. I will take Sepp here. Mina said, what about Ben on? Okay. So List is gone. Jay Steele is likely to take. He takes Hadwin and Connors. I might get Brendan Todd here. Short Gamer TV took EVR. I'll take Todd. Okay. Wow. That happened fast. That was pretty cool. So 6-round draft, 6 golfers. Let's look at this. I got to zoom out on my browser. So, wow. We have Xander, Tom Kim, Eric Cole, Ricky Fowler, Sepp Straka, Brendan Todd. I mean, I think I like our team better than. Whoops. How do I? All right, hold on. I want to see that draft now. Okay, here we go. So this is the one I just did. Tom Kim. Okay, so now we're going up against everybody, right? 228 entries. This is the one I did earlier in the $5 one, just trying to figure it out. I had the number 1 pick. So I got, it was Scheffler, Finau, Cole, Poston, Straka, Todd. Holy crap. Okay, Bruce likes my team. Listen, that was different. I'm in on this. That was a rush. Let's go back to the lobby here. So, PGA. So these are all round 1. How do I know that? The other ones say round 1. I guess if I click this, it says, what do these badges mean? Battle Royale, guaranteed, multi-entry, single round draft. Okay. All right. I guess I could have read that, but I would have liked that to have been designated. Okay. So then you can also do these. So these are 3-person drafts. Also, I got to do the pick. There's a lot that you can take. I also like, so the pick'em is obviously like against the website, which good, bad, or indifferent. I like being able to play against other people, obviously. I like that. So the drafts, whether they're 3 people or 6-team drafts that are against a larger pool, but you're playing against other people, I think is a very, very good distinction. So is this for round 1 as well? So how do I know if this, so I'm in a 3-person draft. This one doesn't say single round. It says the slate starts Thursday. Is this for the full tournament?
Which one is that?
I don't know. It's the $10. I just went here, $10 drafts. Okay, so one starts at 9:45 and one starts at 12. This has got it. The 12:03 has got to be the single round, right? The Texas wedge only pays out top 5, says Eli. Okay. All right. Well, I don't know if anybody's. We'll see if anybody comes for this. What I also did though is underneath the pick'em. Oh, last one's the late slate. Okay. Sorry. I'm learning here on the fly. So the pick'em has, I went and I tweeted this out earlier where I put in a couple of these, but the ones that I thought were most interesting was Keegan got moved to 5.5 birdies per round. Okay. Here, the draft is about to start. So I went lower on Keegan's 5.5 birdies and I went over on Cam Young's 5.5 birdies. I'll show you why in a second. Let's do, we'll just do 25 for 75 on this. Okay. I think our draft is starting. Okay. All right. Oh, we've got the 1-1. Okay, here we go. So $10 against E White and Jay Steele. Oh, they're in the chat. All right. Thanks, boys. Appreciate it. Eli and Jay Steele. We're gonna do this together here. So I think I might be at a little bit of a disadvantage. All right, here we go. 1-1. I'm obviously taking Scotty. And then it's going to loop back. Oh, I'm going to crush you guys. Because I'm going to get Scotty and then probably, I won't even say, but I'll tell you when I get him. And I'm going to win this. I'm going to win this 3-man. I guarantee it. All right, here we go. Scotty, bang. We're on the clock. We're off and running. Eli, I guarantee it. Eli takes Colin. Jay Steele's going to take Victor and Xander. Obviously. Xander. Now he's going to take Victor. No, he took Homa. Eli's going to take Victor. Oh, you guys are screwed now because I'm either going to get Victor and I'm going to get 2 of Victor, Cantlay, and Ludwig. I'm winning this. Okay, so I'm getting now Victor and I'm getting Ludwig. It's over, boys. It's over. Tom Kim off the board. Sure. Jay Steele's going to take Fitzpatrick and Spieth. Let's see. I've won this. I've won this. Fitzpatrick, there it is, and he's going to take Spieth. Oh, he took Finau. Okay. There's Sung Jae. I've got 2 picks. Oh, I am crushing you guys. Fleetwood who's been like a top 8 player this year, and Speed, who might finish dead last. I am absolutely destroying you. Henley, Jay Steele gets 2 picks. All right, and we're gonna wrap. We'll take Cam Young to end this or something, or we'll take Eric Cole. Oh, there's Eric Cole off the board. Jay Steele, last pick. Cam Davis. If I get Cam Young, it's over. E. White. Oh, he might take Hatton. I'll take Hatton or Cam Young. And I'll win. There's Cam Young. I got Hatton. Watch. Look at this team. View full draft. Here we go. Scotty, Victor, Ludwig, Tommy, Jordan, Hatton. Against Colin, Patrick, Tom Kim, Sung J M, Russell Henley, Cam Young versus Xander, Homa, Fitzpatrick, Finau, Cole, Cam Davis. That was fun. I love this. 3-man teams are jacked. Yeah, if you play, use code Rick when you sign up. She said, can I play? Okay, use code Rick. There's a link in the description. I'll reach out and see if I can get them to do I would like the 4-round stuff. I would like that. The pick'em stuff's interesting, and I want best ball too. But I'll tell you what, I've not had that much fun in a long time. That was very, very fun. From a data perspective, what I did start to do was pull all the scorecards from Kapalua earlier this year, from previous years, and start to look through. And that's kind of where I threw up in my newsletter some of these little nuggets about, Fowler really does not make a lot of birdies around the Kapalua course. He averages 4.5 per round. Finau, despite not always scoring well, makes a lot of birdies, things of that nature, right? So just some little nuggets that I've been putting together, and I'll put those in my newsletter each and every week. I don't care if you tail them. I don't care if you fade them, but I'm just kind of letting you know what I'm going to end up doing, because I think it's of note and interesting. And at least there's a little bit of logic and reason behind it. Or I might just do what I did last night. And like, I've never seen an NHL game in my life. And I just like went through the stats and was like, oh, this seems like it's too low, or this is too high, or whatever. Bang, bang, bang. Turned my 20 into 550 or whatever it was. This is okay. It's fun. I'm not going to lie. It's fun. I get it. And the tech is pretty good too. So, links in the description. Help me help you. If this partnership goes well, I think that there is a lot of really good things that Underdog can do with best ball, with just continuing to evolve the golf space. So help me help you. Appreciate you guys. Jay Steele, Eli jumping in. Appreciate everybody. I think I'm going to go eat lunch now. Tournament starts Thursday. It's prime time because it's in Hawaii. We're off and running. Go sign up for rickrungood.com. Go sign up for the 2 different one and dones. Go sign up for the newsletter. Go sign up for a fantasy league. There's a lot happening right now. I know I'm throwing a lot at you all at once. You'll want to get it all done so that you don't have to worry about it and don't have to miss out on it in a couple of weeks. Best of luck. See you later.